Okay, let's do a breakdown of the marathon that I did on Sunday. It is currently Tuesday. Wow. So long story short, I went into this registration, with all these high hopes that I was gonna, be able to train and do all the cool marathon specific block training that I have done in the past. And needless to say, life just got busy as far as just not getting nearly the mileage that I was getting. And as time was going on, and as the date was getting closer, I was seeing that nothing was happening. Anyways, I was getting all flustered and whatnot. Whenever I wasn't running, I was thinking about running, and whenever I was running, I was thinking about things that I had to do around the house and everything, because around here, whenever it gets warm, there's a lot of activity here. So we, backstory, have gotten into, gardening, and we have, fairly decent lawn size here, and, busy house, kids running around, just a lot of things, 2 dogs, and this is not new or individual to me, but it's just the reality I found myself in. And, I was just feeling this push-pull tension between running and the rest of me. So I think, my wife said something about, basically, why don't you, do these jobs and get your fitness out of it. And then, run a little bit too. And it got me thinking, like, okay, what if, and I should say that anytime she says, like, even like the smallest piece of an idea, I tend to just run away with it. It's happened before. In fact, that's what led to the existence of this YouTube channel is one of those things, but that's a different story. So I guess that's kind of what it is I thought about, okay, well, I have all these chores, all these jobs that are here. I knew that I had to, get, for example, a bunch of sod off the ground into, and move it to a different spot, because if we were gonna plant, the other half of our little garden there, then I had to do that. And I figured, okay, well, there's quite a bit of work there, and then thinking about all the actions, the actual physical motions that go into doing something like that. I'm like, wow, that's a lot of legs, that's a lot of back, that's a lot of core, and, just thinking it through, and maybe just having a bit more intention with it. And then, did a little bit of that and think, whoa, I wonder what the heart rate looks like. I wonder, what Garmin thinks about all this. And so started measuring the Garmin. And then there was a couple of days that, if you've been following, you can see that, there was some really busy days. And as a weekend warrior, with this kind of stuff, you just get out there and you just hammer away, until basically the sun goes down. And so that's what happened, and did a few of those, and I looked down, and, I don't believe it, I don't, or care about the amount of calories, but whenever it says that you burned like close to 2,000 calories, it's like, oh, maybe you should look at this. And then seeing that the heart rate was pretty much, 120, 130 the entire time, and you feel it too. You felt just like gutted, like, okay. So are there going to always be, many hours of jobs and stuff like that? Well, I think so. I think if I, just look around, there's plenty to do. And if I say no publicly here, my wife is going to hear it, and she's going to find something for me to do, which is fine, which is what it is all about. And also, since we're on the topic, I feel like this is finally like me multitasking to the point of, getting the things done in the running category, in that running space, while at the same time doing the cool dad, jobs, and then also doing the, the necessary husband jobs, all that stuff that I want to be doing. I want to be present and I want to be there is happening. And so that's basically the mindset and the function there. And, we're still really early into this, and I've only been doing this for a little bit of time, but as you can tell that I've been thinking about it, wondering where this will go. So I signed up for that race in January, got out there, and, got the packet, and, I didn't feel nervous. I felt good, actually. I felt good about what I had done to prepare, even though it was a little bit, even though it was illogical and not normal in the in the ways that I would have looked at this before. But it's what I did, and it wasn't just like I didn't show up, right? I could have just said, nah, not doing it. But that's not my style. And I mentioned about Tom before. That's also very much there. Tom is number one. And then, I sign up for something, I'm going to do it. Unless there's something very dramatic that gets in my way. And me simply not finding the time to run was not okay. That's an excuse, and we're not doing that. So I figured out a different way to get fit. At least I think I did. I don't know. I don't know if anybody else is doing this. I don't know if anybody else should be doing this. This could like blow up. All right. I could injure myself. I could, run another marathon or another race, and it would completely fall apart. Okay. Sunday just happened to work, and here's how it went. So I got my race packet, got up the next day, and I felt, a little jitters, but not too much. Not like, oh my gosh, I am gonna totally fail this thing. I felt good. I felt strong, actually. I felt, physically there, and then like spiritually at ease, because I just, historically, anytime like race day came around, it didn't really matter, up to that point, like, what's done is done, and, you're not gonna be able to like do anything about it. So that sort of like just kind of bliss was set in. And then getting around and getting into the environment, I've learned to insert myself, just, maybe not so much like talking to everybody, but just inserting myself into that environment and really kind of like feeding off of that energy and everything. It's really, really special. And I don't know of any other activities that really like do that for me anyway, and I really, really enjoy that. And then of course, being with the crowd, just a lot of positivity, just a lot of like-minded folks out there. I was with Tom, and we had several people actually that for a little while they hung with us, and then they went off and did their thing. So it's just fun. It's just kind of fun to stick around, and we were at a fairly conversational pace, just kind of getting to know them a little bit. Me being a tad bit more extroverted than usual. That's a nice way of saying that. I was a dang chatterbox the entire time. Anyways, and just hanging out. We clicked off the miles and everything. And sure, towards about mile 10, mile 15, I felt like actually that Skyward X, the plasticky material of the Achilles, just like riding into just above my left heel, like right above my heel bone into my Achilles, and I just felt it knocking along, and I just figured, okay, well, that's just gonna be sore. It's not so much like, I don't think that my body was physically rejecting what was happening. I think it was just a matter of, just the repetitive noxious stimuli of that dang Hoka, but that's a separate thing in my mind versus what we're talking about here. And then really fed off a lot of energy. Oh, and it started off like pretty breezy, pretty cold. I couldn't find the pants that I wanted. It was a miniature crisis Saturday evening. So I just went with the shorts, and I figured once get going, it would warm up, and it surely did. And eventually the sun came out to the point that it almost became too hot. But whatever. That was about, I'd say, mile 13, 14. It's kind of when the sun started to come out there. So we were that way a little while. And then towards the end, there's a lot of really big crowd energy going. You saw like the Jello shots and the cider there, mile 26. That was fun. That was one of the local stores, that Terra Loco. That's one of the shoe stores around here, and they just have a lot of really cool energy. And I really like that place. So that was fun. And then running into the finished shoot, with my family. Oh, by the way, my family, I'm really, really happy and surprised that they came. My wife was originally working, but then she got off, and then the kids were with the grandparents, but they came out. So seeing them, I think around like mile 9, 10, I don't know, somewhere around there, kind of towards the middle there. And then seeing them, and I was like, oh wow, it was just so cool. And then they like, kind of went to a couple of other spots too. So that was a really cool thing. Tom got to meet the kiddos, like while moving and stuff, and some of the guys that we were with too. And so that was just fun, just chatting about that. They gave me like snacks and all that fun stuff. P.S. Applesauce while running is highly recommended. Highly recommended. And then seeing them at the end, and then, got our free banana, and then the kids were there, and then that was that. That was the end of it. How did I feel that evening? Well, we went to a graduation party where there was like a bunch of standing around, walking around, which I'm grateful for, because I feel like the last thing I want to do is sit and just like be stagnant, because that would just encourage that soreness, that stiffness, and me being undertrained, in my opinion. I feel like that would have been an issue, but actually it wasn't. And then the next day came, and I'm like, like a little bit going down the stairs, but I didn't feel sore. I didn't feel bad. I mean, other than that left heel, like I sat down at work yesterday, in between patients, just to kind of, I guess, being cautious. But today there was none of that stuff. I didn't feel it yesterday. I didn't feel it today. So there you go. So my preparation for the marathon involved, I don't know how many runs, I don't know how much mileage, but very, very little actually. Like back in January, that was a lot in versus what I ended up doing, which was very little. But again, I don't even know when this started, month and a half ago. So even that's not that long of really being intentional about functional movement. And I keep saying chores because I feel like that's an opportunity to really be very deliberate in the fitness and the function and the physicality of it. So, and then I figured, give it a cool, fun name like Chore Fit. And what is this all about? It's Chore Theory. Chore Theory running, like, are chores enough to make you fit enough to do whatever event it is? And I feel like this could be expanded into other things. And some folks and I have been chatting, about some of the potential sciencey stuff behind this, and there might be something there. This could be something that's not new. I'm pretty sure it's not. I'm pretty sure, that there was this kind of activity, doing chores and, walking around and being very physical, and then just having this baseline of fitness. So I guess I'm just, reinstilling that with the intention of being able to complete a significant running event like a marathon outside of the traditional training. Okay. All right, I'm pretty sure that was clear as mud. I'm just rambling up here in the bedroom with one of my kids' toys. Or maybe this is the dog's. I don't know at this point. I'm going to go eat some ice cream. Okay? Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. Bye.